Section 12(1)(c), which the RTE Act has as part of its act, is a process encouraging inclusion in education. Like if you look at the current system, we have two broad systems, one by the government and the other one by the private institutions. It was always thought that the private institutions are privately owned, privately managed. They have the freedom to do what they want. So the RTE Act for the first time made it clear that the state makes rules around private schools and common people can also have an access to it, the more marginalized and poorer sections. And in this, I do not look at it as just filling up of seats. That we have 1.4 million seats in this section, and then so many children will get into the private schools, and those children will have a better, so-called better educational opportunities. I mean, that's like one way of looking at it, but I look at it in a different manner, in the sense that this provision provides a common space for children from different categories of our society to be together, to learn together, to play together, to work together, which I think is a very important matter for a social fabric to be created. I think at the first level, it's important to recognize that different children from different categories have different challenges. Secondly, to recognize and acknowledge that schools and teachers and administration have their own mindsets, prejudices, stereotypes, and this will really impact the learning and the systems. Unless you understand the barriers that the children have, you're not going to put in systems. And the third thing I think is also, there is also this whole diamond thinking that this is for the benefit of the poor child. That if you do this inclusion, then it benefits the poor children. So we're doing some kind of a charity for poor children and bringing them in. I think we need to recognize that, there are lots of positive values, positive knowledge, which will actually support children from middle class or middle classes also to better understand their own life and their, handle their situation. So we need to look at it as a mutually learning space for everybody who is part of that section. So we need administrative mechanisms which will ensure that children from different categories are included. We need academic resources and school level activities which will ensure that children from all the different sections are actually able to participate equally in the whole process. And we need a mindset that will help us to share that every child is a learner in the process and not only a benefit to the poor child. I think society is responsible to create those environmental conditions where every child or every human being can live with dignity and also contribute to the larger society. And I strongly believe in it, and I think it is not to be the responsibility of the individual alone to, despite all conditions, to move forward. It is the responsibility of the state, and I think we need to recognize the privileges that many of us enjoy, the privileges that a lot of people enjoy, and which facilitates them to move forward, and need to recognize the disprivileges that many people are burdened with, and that we are responsible for creating that change. Education is not this esoteric engagement of learning the environment and the world or something like that. It's also a means for your livelihood. And marginalized communities are doing education so that the next generation is better off. There's a social mobility, there is an economic mobility. So it's very important that the life and livelihood dimensions also become very part of the learning process. I see Section 12, now that we are really far away from it, we've got private education in such a level, our government education is so badly off. Section 12(1)(c) I see as one small window into the process. And hopefully, like you would know, many of your friends from school continue to be your friends throughout life. Like, you depend on them, you go back to them. I hope that this engagement will create that kind of bonding, and over a period of time we will have children and young adults or adults who will want to engage with each other across boundaries and borders. And I think that's like one glimmer of light that we can create in the whole social fabric that we are building in.